What's up, everyone? This is MileSplit Live. I'm Cory here with Bryan. We are without Parker Navarro this weekend. She is out with her family in San Diego having a grand old time at the San Diego Zoo. So we'll see her next week. But Bryan, really ridiculous weekend full of national championship meets across the country. One word to summarize it? What do you think? Amazing. Pretty amazing.
It's always a great weekend when championship meets are involved. Lots of fast times, lots of great performances, lots of things we don't expect, all kinds of fun.
And we have all the coverage. If you missed anything, just go to milesplit.com. If you're from a particular state, Virginia, North Carolina, Florida, wherever, go to their state site. We have all the coverage for you there. But we're going to start first with an interview. One of the coaches that was at New Balance Nationals Outdoor this weekend in Greensboro, North Carolina. He had a really big weekend with his teams, both the girls and the boys program. That's Bullis School coach Joe Lee, familiar face. Joe, thanks for being with us today. We're having a little bit of an issue hearing you right now, but
How about if I turn mute off? Does that work?
That
There we go.
That might work.
There we go.
So, Joe, you won 5 championships through your teams this year, 2 for the boys' side, 3 for the girls' side. But it was really a coming of age for your boys' team who won their first national titles at New Balance Nationals. What was it like for those boys to get over the hump, to win their first title, and really have a great weekend?
Well, the big story from the weekend was not so much the boys. It was what you guys started indoor season, and that's what's going on in Jolie's backpack. And unfortunately, after that story aired, this is a true story. Like, my backpack disappeared.
Oh,
So
man.
I've got some suspects out there. Bryan, I think you're one of them.
Oh, man.
A couple other people. I got my eye on. I think Mike out from Union Catholic. I'm watching him now. Brandon from Motor City. I'm definitely watching that guy. And JB from formerly from Ward, now at Cornell. I'm creating a list, and trust me, I am snitching. So when I find my backpack,
Okay.
you got somebody
All right.
going down.
I can promise you that it was not me. 100% promise that it was not me.
It's
You might have started a culture trend with
in the streets, it's usually
backpacks.
the guy. In the streets, it's usually the guy who says it wasn't him first. But anyway, yeah. So I mean, we had a great weekend. The kids did phenomenal. The boys, especially, I'm really glad you started with them because they've been humbled through this whole run with the girls, but they killed it this weekend. It was nice to see them actually just get on that stage and run up to their capabilities. So, they're thrilled, and the way our team works, when somebody wins, everybody wins. And so the girls were cheering like crazy for the boys and vice versa. And we had a fun time.
Now, I know one thing with the boys is that you were kind of had to make do without Jay Pendarvis, who I think was hurt going into New Balance, and you kind of changed some of the lineups up for the Swedish relay, which you won, in the 4x4. Can you talk a little bit about what you did with the guys to maybe still get them over the top and to run well?
Yeah, to do anything at a high level, whether it be track and field, football, baseball, or what have you, you really need depth that's going to help you get all the way through. And for years, we've had maybe 4 or 5 guys, and they've been great guys. But at this level of competition, and I was talking to some collegiate coaches, and I won't name drop and all that kind of stuff. But the bottom line is, everybody sees injuries at every level when you're competing at the highest of your sport has to offer. So what we try to do is we just try to manage injuries smart, to be wise about it, just err on the side of caution. So Jay probably could have run. He definitely wanted to run, but we believe that your future is more important than your present. So what we wound up doing is we just filled in Austin Allen, who he is the second Allen child son. He used to be a decathlete, believe it or not. And he can pretty much fill in anywhere at any time. He's an amazing long jumper. He qualified for the championship division of long jump, but he also sprints, he also hurdles, and he's been a phenomenal piece to this puzzle. So Austin stepped in, ran the one leg on the Swedish, and ran the third leg on the 4x4, and helped us come out with a win.
Awesome. And obviously you guys had an amazing indoor season as well. how do you kind of transfer that from indoor to outdoor? Both seasons can be very long. What's your approach to making sure that everybody stays healthy, everybody continues to progress, and have maybe the season that they're hoping to have both indoor and outdoor?
Yeah, I mean, we have a saying amongst ourselves, and I say it a lot, to our coaches. Leaders are learners, so we always want to be learning every year. So every year, if you're following the trends and seeing what you did right, what you need to improve on, hopefully it'll be a better season or year to follow. So what we really did, as far as the preparation into our season, we went, it was like a go slow to go fast kind of thing. When people got really excited when a couple of our kids ran fast early, but we really weren't putting in that kind of work to make them run fast in December or January. It's just they're so talented athletes and they're hard workers, period. So we stretch the season out a little bit, and what we do is we have a great medical staff that works with our team, our trainers, and a few doctors that have really bought into what we're doing and support us. So whenever we saw something that was a little bit off kilter, we backed it off. We didn't push the envelope with anyone that would cause them long-term injury because, again, less is more. One of the things I've learned over the years is that once athletes get fit, a certain level of fitness in their life, you don't have to keep pushing them. It'll be there when it counts. So we extended the season a little bit by doing more. Probably a little bit longer stuff, if you want to call it tempo or special one or two, but that wound up preserving them. And then when their bodies were tired, we just modified. So it's something that I've learned from my mentors, and really when it counts, you want them at their best. And we learned a good lesson last year, and it worked out for us this year.
We decided to do something new today, and we asked some Instagram question for you. But before we do that, I want to ask you one last thing. Your year is over essentially here. What were you most proud of during this outdoor season with your squads? Most proud moments.
Okay. Well, I'll say on the girls' side, that's an easy answer. I think the most proud moment at New Balance was when Jordan Jeffers, she's not a name that you all may recognize, but somebody who's very near and dear to our program, she anchored the shuttle hurdle. And Jordan came into Bullis, not with a lot of the accolades of her peers, but she just came in to work and wanted to be a part of the team. She has a great attitude. She's a fighter. She is somebody who's committed to the sport, and it took her literally 3.5 years to make one of our A teams, which is no knock on her. It's just kind of where it is. So when she anchored the shuttle hurdle and they won it, and she literally crossed the line. And she says she didn't do this, but if you watch the film, she tackled her teammate when she crossed the finish line. They fell to the ground, looked like a pylon at the end zone. Yeah. That was my highlight. And I know she's not a big name, but it doesn't matter to us. She's a big part of what we're doing, and she's going on to run in college. I would say on the boys' side, I just that 4x4 was just, it was phenomenal. It wasn't phenomenal on my end as a coach because I think I lost about 2 to 3 years off my life. But it was just a fun race to watch, knowing what Ashton has been through to get back and to be healthy and to be at his best. Knowing what Ryan Willie actually had more races on his legs than Ashton. And, he wound up splitting 45-7 after 30 minutes before running the 200 finals and everything he did that weekend. So just seeing them win that 4x4, running 3:09. I was talking to a coaching friend of mine today, and he said, I can't remember the last time I think it was like 2010, since somebody had ran that fast. So seeing them do that, and then the girls doing the same thing, winning it at the line, that was really, it just kind of capped a season of perseverance and staying together.
Cool. You want to ask the first Instagram question, Brian?
Sure. We got the first Instagram question here.
We call it the IG on these streets now.
The IG.
We're not hip, Joe. We're not hip.
Let's get hip.
Okay, the first IG question we got here. What year did you win your first title? And that was from @PaulMIV.
What year did we win our first title? Well, we won our first conference title in 2014. I got to Bullis at 2013, so we won our first conference title the next year, and then 2015 with the boys. First national title, I'm gonna say 2017. I think that was with the I think we won the indoor 4x2. No, excuse me, indoor 4x4 is what we first won in 2017, and then that was indoor and then outdoors. It was the 4x1, 4x2, 4x4.
All right. Control C Rose asks, how many uniforms does your squad have, Joe?
How many uniforms does our squad have? A lot. So that's funny, and I get on them all the time because some of them like one over the other. I'm like, look here, you people are spoiled rotten, and it's my fault. It's my fault. So I would say probably 8 or 9. I don't know, maybe 10. So, and I will tell them myself. I'll share this. They're one of my little hobbies is designing. So I do the design work with some of the folks at New Balance, and it's fun for me, but that's not going to be my day job. Trust me.
Which ones of your uniforms are your favorite, would you say? Is there anyone that you particularly choose to wear on Championship Sunday or championship races?
I think New Balance gives them some uniforms sometimes when you go to New Balance. Is that right?
Yeah, they'll do that. They'll supply us with certain kits, and they've been really kind to do that. And we've tried to represent them well and they meet well. The kids really choose them. I mean, and the captains kind of take care of that. My favorite every year, like when we'll design something, I'll be like, "That's my favorite," and then another one comes, "That's my favorite." I'll tell you this is true story. So we had a gold, a yellow one. It was like really supposed to be gold, but it wound up being like a bright yellow, and we had a navy one. So the bottom, it was supposed to be like navy top, yellow bottom, navy bottom, yellow top, that kind of thing. But the kids just switched them up. And I was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "That's not the design, right? You design stuff, you have this in your mind." And then when they put the yellow on yellow, I was like, "Oh, that's all right." So I like that one. But I think there's a big deal around with the pink ones. I don't know if you've seen those really bright pink ones. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think the Penn relay guy even shouted that out while they were running, which was kind of funny and weird at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay, so another IG question here. Greatest thing you have accomplished as a coach? And I'm not sure of the handle. How would you? EVIEN.V. EVNV, we'll say.
Yeah. Greatest thing that I've accomplished as a coach, I would probably say for me would be the ability to connect to kids off of the track. The track stuff is what gets all the attention, and that's all well good. But being able to see a young person struggle through a tough time in their life and to bounce back and to be successful, those are the things that I look at and I say, that's we're making a difference. Because let's face it, guys, this is a sport. It's fun. We get excited about it, but it's not life and death. It's just an opportunity for us to measure ourselves and to see what's on the inside as it relates to our character. So I think the greatest thing I've accomplished is knowing that kids, well after they're gone, they come back and they call and they connect and they're still wanting to be a part of the Bullis track family, which makes me feel that we did something right along the way.
One thing we've noticed actually in the last couple of years is sort of like the fandom surrounding certain athletes, whether it's Matthew Bowling or I think Mo or Tyrese Cooper. Jet Ski Smoke asks, do other teams treat your team different because it's been so successful?
Yeah, I don't know if they treat us any different. I think sometimes when we'll go to a certain meet or what have you, you'll kind of notice that people are staring and whatnot. But the thing I love about our kids is they're normal kids and they break the ice really well. So they'll go and they'll talk to kids and they're just when they find out that, hey, they're normal people, it just is a really cool feeling because when there's some times, and I remember we've had kids who done a whole lot of things, but when people are stopping and asking you to take photos and all that kind of stuff, it's just weird. I'm like, why are you taking a photo of her? She's she's a goofball, but I think the fun part is when like here's a cool story. So everybody was hyping up this DeSoto Bullis head-to-head matchup, and rightfully so. DeSoto's an excellent program. They got great kids. So DeSoto is up at the track, and it was really hot out, and we had a tent out in the warm-up area. And we invited them into our tent. Hey, come on, it's hot. Who wants that? To be out here, dehydrating and stuff. So we're talking to them, and before you know it, they're great friends. I'm like, y'all know y'all got to compete against each other a little bit, right? So, long story short, so after the race, Leah Phillips, who is one of the greatest people, not just teenagers, but one of the greatest people you'll ever meet, gets to the other girls and has an idea and says, it was such a great race. It could have went either way. They give out the American flags and the flowers. She said, why don't we give our flowers to DeSoto? And they went over and they presented the flowers to DeSoto, and it just made their day. And they're hugging, and it was just a great experience. So treat us differently. I don't know about that, but I know that my kids really work hard to go out of their way to let them know that, they're just like them, and we're happy to be here just like anybody else.
Awesome. One more, I think, final Instagram or IG question we got from @_Mushi is Bullis has been known as a strong 200 and 400 meter program. What are some general principles for training in those distances? I know that's a very broad thing, but if you had to nail down maybe a couple.
Yeah, I think for me, everything starts, with the 100-meter race pattern. I learned that a long time ago, from a good mentor friend of mine. So we try to teach them how to accelerate. So whether it's 2, 4, what have you, acceleration, and starting with the 100-meter race pattern, understanding it so you can cover ground properly. That's the first staple of our program. We'd start teaching speed development in the fall, and it doesn't stop. From there, some things that will help you be successful. I'm big on sprint mechanics, and those kind of things, biomechanics, all that. I'm that nerd. That's the part that I play. So working on efficiency in your runs and the rhythms of your runs and understanding race patterns. As far as if you want me to get into the weeds and practical stuff that we'll do,
that's another day. I think.
That's another day. So I would say start with the race pattern, and then don't be afraid of the hard work. The hard days should not be every day, but when the hard days come, just get after it because it's preparing your body for what's to come.
Joe, thank you so much for being with us. Obviously, we've talked to you many times before. We'll probably have you on the show again. Really appreciate you, and awesome job this weekend. Yeah, well, thank you, and Cory, if you can do me a favor, if you can just check the back of Brian's car, all right, and just look for my backpack, all right. If you have it, just let me know. There's a reward out for it. All right. All right. So, and make sure he doesn't give it to somebody else and split the reward, because I know he's on my list. I know
it's all the snacks inside the backpack, right?
Yeah. All right. I'll be on the lookout. Joe, take care. Hey, thanks, guys. Take care.
See ya.
See ya. We've had them on before. Bullis is a powerhouse program that continually is very accomplished and continues to accomplish much more every single season. So it's not a surprise that they won 5 more national titles at New Balance.
Yeah, sure that wasn't the first time, won't be the last that we've talked to Coach Joe Lee.
Let's move to the weekend. We will get into New Balance Nationals Outdoor, but we'll start first with the Adidas Boston Boost Games. This event is held in the streets of Boston, and it's a larger meet that includes pros for the most part, but it did have 4 high school races, 100-meter and 1-mile races. Bryan, all 4 of them were won by Texans. So that little statistic there, what did that say to you that you had 4 Texans go to Boston and sweep up?
I mean, we know Texas is a strong state. Do you really want to ask me that question as the former Texas MileSplit webmaster? Or, Texas has always got strong things, from Ryan Choppy to Ryan Martin. There's just a lot of strong. Heidi Neilson. There's no surprise really in my mind that Texas, if they're there, they're going to represent well.
Right.
I think Texas represented well in a couple other places at Brooks PR and at New Balance Nationals Outdoor. But for Ryan Martin, that's really cool to see him get the win. The time maybe wasn't as impressive as some other places or some other times that he's run this season.
It was wet.
Conditions were a little. I was just going to get there. Conditions are a little rainy, as we saw some puddles on the track. But overall, it ended up being a cool meet. I think one thing that kind of has taken away from the Adidas field over the past few years, though, is the fact that Brooks PR and New Balance Nationals Outdoor both on the same. All 3 meets are on the same weekends, at least the past 2 or 3 years, and I think it really kind of diminishes all the fields across everything, because you don't get all the best in all one place.
Right.
There's nothing against, again, this is kind of leading into all of it,
Yeah.
kind of a thought process here.
It's tough because all of these kids probably got contacted by other meets too.
Oh, I'm sure.
So you have to pick at some point too. Heidi Neilson, really good performer the entire year. Cross country, if you remember, she was at U20s, qualified there for the international meet. She ran 4:46, and she's under the radar. Very, very good. She's not a senior, going back next year. So Heidi Neilson is someone really to watch as she progresses further. She's going to race at U20s to hopefully qualify for Pan Ams in the 5K, and I really think she has a good shot at doing that. Shoppy, on the other hand, he's a junior from LaPorte in Texas. Really, really talented too. We saw him this year really break out towards the postseason. Here he ran 4:09 in the mile, really confident and dominant, but he also ran, I think, 8:52 in the 3,200 meter to win his Texas State Championship. So Shoppy is a really good guy to watch, I think, in the future.
Yeah, as a junior, he's coming back stronger than ever, looking to really run and maybe get up there with some guys like Cruz Culpepper who ran, Cole Sprout. And Nico Young, and get up with them for sure.
Brooks PR was another meet out in Seattle, Washington, and different because it's invitation only, right? So you got to be invited to go to Brooks PR, but it really, these fields are very, very talented from kids all over the country. Let's start first with the event that had the most suspense on Saturday. Do you have a thought for this, and why?
My thought was the boys' mile, and obviously it was rough because they fell there with like 600 to go or so, but I think up until that point, there was everybody was in it. And I think that, not to take anything away from Nick Foster, because he ran an amazing, absolutely incredible race and took down a very talented field. But there was definitely some guys, and I think getting the trip up there, everybody was in position or trying to get in position when that fall happened. And there was definitely some very talented guys up there. And Nick Foster really had to battle to the line to keep them at bay and keep them behind him.
Sam Affold and Matthew Pamps were the guys that got caught up in that fall and eventually had to make their way around the track, and both kind of hand in hand across the finish over 5 minutes. So they finished the race.
Yeah, and I think plus the times speak for themselves. 4:03. And Joe Waxham also ran 4:03. Leo Dabash. How do you say his last name? I'm still
Dashback. Yeah.
Dashback. Still ran 4:03. A lot of solid performances there. And Leo is another guy talking about juniors. He's going to be coming back and hopefully running very well.
I'll eat crow right now. Dan Baton didn't run under 4 minutes. I'll eat it.
It's okay. I wasn't going to say anything. I was not going to bring it up. It's okay.
My money, girls 800. We talked about it a lot heading into that race, and it was one of the best fields I think that they put together. And really, up until the final 100 meters, it was still any girl's game. Morgan Foster made a little bit of a move, maybe too early. Victoria Van Riel went on the gas after that, and it looked like Victoria maybe had it, but Roisin Willis, she's 5'10", great long stride, just had enough power at the end to take that win. So that was very impressive. Taylor James, I think, was third in this race too. So great futures from girls 800 moving forward next year. Event you were most surprised by at Brooks PR?
The event that I was most surprised by, I was going to say, I'm going with the boys 400. I think Emmanuel Bynum ran very well from Tennessee. He ran the second fastest time of the year for the race, 46:24, and I want to say his best before that was 46:60. So strong performance, but he lowered his PR and season best time by quite a bit in this race, and just had a very, very strong outing on Saturday. Sorry,
he hadn't run in a while too, so it was a little kind of questionable what kind of fitness he had entering the meet. May 24th was his state meet. He came into this race maybe 3 weeks after, June 15th. So I would agree with you. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I think that was a big race.
Girls 1 mile as well on the other side. There were a lot of girls that you kind of had a thought on could win this race. Taryn Parks was in it. Victoria Starcher was in this race. But it ended up being Sophia Dudek of Ann Arbor Pioneer. By the way, there was 2 winners from Ann Arbor Pioneer at Brooks PR this weekend.
Nick Foster
being the other one.
But
Sophia, really amazing last lap really to take that race. Taryn was in great position throughout the entire race, kind of running up front. Didn't get into sort of the mess that happened maybe with 3 laps in. Jenna Hutchins went down. But Dudek made a great move at the end and picked up a big win. That program has had now 3 big-time athletes in the last maybe 2 years.
Yeah, they've been known for having some pretty big athletes.
Right.
I want to say there's another girl. Yeah, I was at Ann Forsyth, thank
Right.
you. And there's, I want to say even years before that, they're a distance powerhouse. They're one
Churning
of
them
the
out.
yeah.
Kind of like York of Illinois. Just
Yes,
churning
same
out the
thing.
distance
Yeah,
recruits.
distance recruits all the time. They constantly have a great program. So pretty awesome.
All right. Best performance overall at Brooks PR. Do you have anybody?
Ooh, overall best. How about you go with yours first, and then I'll pick mine.
This is kind of a surprise, but I'll also go with best performance because I didn't expect it out of her. It's Zaya Holman of Georgetown Day and out of DC. The girl hadn't broken 54 seconds before she entered into this 400 meter right here, and she's very, very talented. Had raced a lot of the Mid-Atlantic girls throughout the season, but for her to come in here, run 52.62, I believe, it's right now top 10. That was an amazing performance from Zaya, and I think there's a lot more for her in the future. She's going to run at USA Juniors this weekend in Florida, and I think what can she get out of herself? Can she maybe cut down a little bit more, 52 low, maybe go under 52? It's a tall task, but I think she had a great performance. I'm going to go with her for the girls 400.
I think I'm going to take Erica Vanderlyn from
stick
with the Michigan vibes here that we've been putting out so far. 9:53 is extremely solid, and she's ran well, but that time was like next level well, and beating Caitlin Hart, who I think has been a big name in the sport for a while. And that race kind of broke apart early, and those three girls kind of took it, and it was really anybody's race for a while. And to come in 9:53, 9:56, 9:57, that's a nail biter. Surprising.
I thought it was
an exciting performance.
A very tactical play from her. She really bided her time that entire race. When Bryn Brown kind of took out the race in the first mile, Caitlin Hart kind of tried to take it over in the second mile, and Erica just waited for Caitlin to sort of let off a little bit, and she had enough left in the last 400 to really go after it. She doesn't have a ton of leg speed, but it's the tactics that got her to the point where she saved enough, where she had enough.
Yeah, and it's a big race for her to probably cap off her senior year.
Yeah. Let's go to, one last question at Brooks PR. We saw a lot of falls in some of these distance races. I mean, the fields were pretty large. Here's a question for maybe Brooks PR to consider in the future. Do you think the fields should be smaller considering sort of all the chaos that happened in some of these events?
I think absolutely. I think, a lot of people had the same kind of thought. I think there's like 17 guys on the line or something in the mile.
Right.
And I'm not sure how many in the 2 mile. There's a lot of guys. And if you're going to make this a true championship style event and you're going to invite the best of the best, not saying that some of these guys that didn't deserve to be on the line, but there needs to be maybe a cutoff time or like some kind of point that you're inviting, because you just get that many guys on the line. Obviously, there's going to be, but also that's part of racing. There is going to be some falls, but I think the fields could be just slightly smaller, maybe 8 to 10 instead of 17. That just seems like a lot to me.
It was interesting how many people fell because in Arcadia, for example, Arcadia has large fields, right? In the 2 mile, and we don't necessarily see the amount that we saw at Brooks PR. Do you think it was partially just nerves? Like kids really sort of felt
I think
like
it could have been partially nerves. It could have been partially, just that adrenaline kind of
racing
pumping.
At that level,
racing at that
knowing
level.
how to run in tight
Well,
quarters.
as we watch the boys mile in particular, I think it's just like, I don't know if those guys don't know how to race in tight quarters. They're all used to racing up front at the top in a pack. I think it's just like they were all kind of getting anticipating that move, and when it finally started to go, and they kind of one of them made the move and the other one didn't, and it's like then you kind of fall, and it's like hard to when you're running that fast too. It's hard to dodge and hard to jump over, hurdle people when you need to, and stay out of the way or move out of the way.
Yeah.
So it's tough. I think maybe a smaller field, and I think that'll help kind of push people to faster times. Maybe chase after bigger, because there's less traffic to deal with, and if you're really going to go after a fast time, that's what you're going to do.
The biggest meet of the weekend, based on volume alone, the amount of days it covered, was New Balance Nationals Outdoor, which was held in Greensboro, North Carolina. Great track at North Carolina A&T. We're going to get through a few questions here before we move on to the USA Junior meet coming up this weekend. But just how good was the girls 400-meter championship this weekend?
I'm so glad that this 400 was on there, because when I saw the results from this race, I was like my jaw hit the floor. I was like, wow. Like, especially, after watching Jantasia Ford run last weekend, she ran 51 something. And then, she comes back and runs 52.46, but 2 other girls run 51 to run faster than her. I was like, last weekend I was like, wow, like that was a fast time from Ford, like really impressive performance. And then 2 girls, just off the top 10 all time, I want to say she was like 14 or 15 to 20 all time, somewhere in that range. for two girls to come back and run even faster and put themselves, essentially in all-time mark contention with Kayla Davis, especially as a freshman, just unbelievable.
Starting the year, we got to know Kayla a little bit, seeing her at VA Showcase and just seeing her race from week to week. And she just exudes talent. She looks like she's going to be a very, very good 400-meter runner just in the future. But there have been moments this season where inexperience has taken over. VA Showcase, a thing, kind of, used a little bit of that physical contact to her advantage, right? That was all headiness as a veteran, and she beat her at VA Showcase. New Balance Nationals Indoor, Kayla Davis did not have a good race, did not win 400, but here, after everything, to see her go out, compete on another level and win this race, given, right, she's not going to have that physical contact because she has her own lane, but she really has to compete against a thing in this race. A thing probably was the favorite entering, I would think, because people see her as this powerhouse star.
Setting an American record in the 600 meters, I think she, from that prowess alone and being a little older, having maturity on her side, I would say she probably was the favorite, but
Kay Davis at this
doesn't
point
back down,
right? And she's got, what is possible for her now in the future? I think we have to look at, Sonia Richards-Ross's career. I think that's in the possibility, maybe going under 51 by the time she's a senior, maybe earlier rather than later. Really, really good. A thing, goes under 52 for the first time, and she's going to run 800 at USA Juniors and possibly even seniors. So really fantastic out of the 400 there. What was more impressive in your book, Kurt Powder's number 3 all time in the 110s, or Morgan Small's number 6 high jump?
I think I'm taking Kurt Powder on this one. I think that, this year he's run some quick times, but, as fast as his 13:66 at the VA state meet with a 1.1 win. That's the fastest win legal time he ran. So for him to drop that much, 0.30 or somewhere in the ballpark of that in seconds and put himself in the top all-time list, like, we've known he's a good hurdler, but to run that kind of time is next level, and putting yourself in the name. And I think he's run faster than some guys did in high school. Some of the best, like Eric Edwards, who was in the NCAA finals as a freshman this year. I think he ran faster than Grant Holloway ran as a freshman. Joseph Anderson from Upland, who ran a couple years ago, just off the top all-time list. But now, Kurt Powder has really solidified it. And I want to say that's his second title he ran. That he also won indoors. No, he had the fall. He fell. Yeah, so he's like a huge comeback to have that. Yeah. How did I forget that? Yeah. So to be able to cap off a senior year with that win probably meant a lot to him and run that well.
I'm glad that Morgan went 6'2.25. I mean, after such a great indoor performance where she went over 6'3", she's special in the high jump, I think. Future. But she hadn't had a really, really good performance up until that event, so I'm proud there. But I agree with you with Powder. My question here is, he's from Virginia. He's got, he's 6'3", he's physical, kind of reminiscent of Grant Holloway. I think I told somebody that earlier. Do you think, he's going to Florida as well? So do you think there's sort of a chance that Kurt Powder in a couple of years maybe steps into Grant's role at Florida and maybe...
Those are huge shoes to fill. I know. But I'm not saying you can't do it with that kind of time. I mean, we'll see. I think only time will tell. I think he definitely has the potential to get there, but I think time will tell.
All right. Busiest weekend at New Balance. A lot of athletes performed in multiple events, but a few of them stood out in particular. Joe Fanbulla of Hopkins in Minnesota won the 100, 200. Team was second in the 4x1 and fourth in the 4x2. Taylor Ewert won the 2K steeple, ran the 4x8, second in the mile. Uriel Soto, obviously decathlete, he performed in numerous events. I think it's like 10, right? And
decathlon is 10.
Yeah, 10.
Yes, sir.
And then Leah Phillips of Bullis. We talked to Joe earlier. She was in the Swedish relay, 4x100 meter relay, 4x4, all 3 wins there. And she also was 7th in the 100 meter hurdles. So in your book, who had the busiest weekend?
Ooh, busiest. Well, obviously doing a decathlon is super busy. You're doing 10 events over 2 days. That's pretty crazy for, Uriel to put his name on there on the top all-time list. Definitely, impressive. That many events is awesome. No, I'm not going 100%. I think a decathlete also has the ultimate versatility. But I think that, I think Taylor Ewert's impressive as well, going back to back in that 2K steeple. That's tough. It's a tough race. It takes a lot out of you, and then to go and hop on the, hop in the mile and then hop in the 4x8. And you're also using different. I think, you have to have obviously great endurance for a 2K, and you also have strength.
Power, yeah.
Power,
2K
strength and
steeple,
power
yeah,
to get over the
for sure.
barriers and the water barrier. But I think also then to go down and go to the 800 and run, I think she ran 212
Yeah.
or 211
211.
for her split in the 4x8 is super impressive. And then obviously she can race walk too, which we didn't even see her do this weekend, which hopefully we'll get to see next weekend.
Yeah, tight K race
So,
walk.
overall, I mean, just as far as versatility, that's pretty versatile. But does it beat a decathlon? I don't know.
Yeah,
Probably.
I think it's, without being said, Urals has to have a multitude of things to be successful in the decathlete, and he's number 7 all time in the decathlon after that outing. In the intermediate hurdle, 7.509 points. So Ural had a great one, but I'm gonna go with Taylor because going from steeple to speed is just another level. Last thing before we get to USA Juniors, what was your favorite moment from New Balance this weekend? Do you want me to start with that?
Yeah, I'll let you take one.
I like the 800. Tyler Shoe of Ephrata in Pennsylvania was not favored to win here. Louis Peralta was the defending champion, gone under 150.
Connor Murphy'd also run 150, who I picked.
A lot of good people
There's a lot of good
in the
people.
race, and Shoe took it over at the end and really had enough. But I think, it's the interview afterward where he's being asked, like, what were your thoughts on this race? And there is no hint of hesitation. He thought he could win it. And, I know as an athlete, you have to believe you can win it. You're always thinking you can win, but there had to be a little bit of like, am I good enough to win this? Am I in this caliber? He had ran 151 in his state meet, but to go 150 is, at that level is different. So I think he proved a lot to himself. He really stepped up in that moment, and that is a huge, huge win for Tyler Shoe, who's only a junior.
Favorite moment. I think one thing I was looking at was Jasmine Jones in the hurdles. She ran pretty well.
13.36.
I don't think that was her best time, as you kind of told me earlier. But I want to say she hasn't competed as much since her state meet, so that's pretty big. Maybe not the biggest. Favorite moment. Man, that's tough. It's such a big meet. There's so many awesome things that happened over the days. I think U.S. number 3 all time, or U.S. One of the top U.S. times in the 110s for Kurt Powder is huge.
Cool. Cindy Massarelli, we had a workout with her. In April. She won 2 titles, right? A year after not really placing well. Cindy Massarelli had a great weekend too.
Yeah, huge weekend. How did I forget to mention that? Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. There's just so much.
Coming up on the schedule, USA Juniors in Miramar, Florida at Anson Sports Complex. It's going to be a banger of a meet. Obviously, the best athletes in the country going there trying to qualify for Pan Americans. We got Adair Lyden of Florida on the line with us. How you doing, Adair?
Good. How are y'all?
Very good. Adair is heading to U20s along with myself and a few others. Let's start with the 100, Bryan and Adair. We got Matthew Bowling in the mix here. First time racing since Great Southwest. He's going to get a good matchup with Brendan Stewart and Marcellus Moore. What are you guys' thoughts on this race? Let's start with Bryan first.
I mean, Matthew Bowling is once again the guy to beat. I think, we saw Taylor Banks until unfortunately he pulled up at Great Southwest. He was right in there, really close to him. But, after running 10.13 and then 10.15 at altitude at Great Southwest, he is definitely the guy, the class of the field right now. And obviously that 9.98, that was heavily wind-aided, but he definitely has some of the fastest times. He's just consistently been fast. And looking at the lineup, Kenny Leitner ran well at Great Southwest. He has a chance to qualify Marcellus Moore. We haven't seen him in a while. Hopefully
Leitner's best race is 200 though. He's also
yes, I would agree. But I think also Marcellus Moore is gonna be interesting to see what he has in store, because he's was just working back through it after state, after kind of battling with an injury a little bit this season. So I think it'll be interesting to see what Marcellus Moore is able to do. I think he should be able to throw on a quick time. But obviously Brandon Stewart from Southern California is going to be a big name to watch. But Bowling's a class of the field.
Adair, you've seen a lot of Florida sprinters throughout the season. This is your first time seeing Matt Bowling. Are you excited to see this guy roll?
Super excited. I'm disappointed, Taylor had to pull out of the Great Southwest, but I'm pumped to see Matthew Bowling and kind of see someone push up there, and maybe we have an underdog story this weekend. Cross our fingers, right?
Yeah, I mean, Matt Bowling still hasn't lost. It was a little bit precipitous at Great Southwest. I mean, Taylor was in the lead up until the final moments when he had a hamstring pull. So, Matt kind of has to come back stronger. Even though he ran 10.15, I think he needs a little bit more to get in, guarantee himself into Pan Americans. I think he'll do it, but I think he just needs a stronger race. let's go to the 400 where Justin Robinson's coming back from Great Southwest, went under 45. What do you think we'll see for the first time here?
So I wasn't expecting the 44. I don't think any of us really were. We were all like, oh, maybe he'll go 45 something.
Right.
So, I mean, to expect it again, I think is a little much, but also out of the realm of possibilities, being that we never expected the first time. But to repeat that would be absolutely incredible. I think that he has a much more talented field pushing him along this time with Wilmington Wright of Middle Tennessee having a 45.92, Matthew Moore of Baylor running 45.97. There's more guys in his wheelhouse.
Yeah.
But to see another 44 would be
I don't know if anybody's
incredible
really with him though, right?
Well, that's the thing. They're 45 or they're 45 guys, but not exactly. They're just barely 45 guys. So maybe as a collective field, they'll run fast. And maybe we'll see our first 45 from a high schooler this season, being that we've only seen 46s and 44s.
Yeah. Alex Collier is in this field, Adair, and he ran 46 at the state. Ran a little bit poorer at New Balance, but do you think a guy like that maybe has a shot, right? Comes in here ranked, it looks like 4th overall.
Yeah, he took a whole month off from state till New Balance. So he has not trained since New Balance. So it'll be exciting to see, like he got 3rd last week. It'll be good to see him this week. 46.33. I mean, how could we forget that performance against Tyrese Cooper? He's gonna show up. He
felt
did.
Like a man.
He
felt like a
He's
man.
such a great kid. Yeah. So I'm excited to see him run, especially getting the wheels turning after a couple weeks off. So
it's going to be hard. Looking forward to some of the distance events to see, get a lot of success or really great times at events like the 10K. But we will see a guy that we covered extensively last year, Danny Kilray, who's in the 10K, runs for Notre Dame. He's entered there. Let's go to the 110s because Eric Edwards was in the NCAA final this year, finished 8th there. Or no, he didn't finish. He DQ'd actually. But Jamar Marshall is up against him, and that's kind of a good matchup of a former Texas guy against a California guy. Do you think we're going to get sort of who do you think wins here? Collegiate freshman or
Eric Edwards.
Eric Edwards for sure.
Yep. Sorry.
Okay.
Eric Edwards all through high school, and I'm not sure if they're gonna.
Confident.
I'm not sure if they're gonna run. Do they end up running that? Do they run the higher intermediate? So
Yeah,
it's more the international hurdles.
Yep.
Eric Edwards. Yeah, I think he has the year of experience running the college height, and I think it'll be easy for him. That 13.49 is a quick time.
Okay.
So, and I think also what he was able to do at NCAA's, if he's taken a little bit of rest and continue that high peak that he's on in training, he's gonna be a force to be reckoned with.
Adair, any other events on the men's side that you're like looking at that are pretty interesting to you, or 110s? I mean, what are you looking at on the men's besides that?
That 400 is probably going to be the one that I'll watch, and one that I'll enjoy the most, especially looking at some of these Florida guys that I've seen all season from February on till now. So that's going to be my main fun one for the men.
Well, on the women's side, actually, when you look at some of these matchups, they actually are pretty juicy. Starting with the 100, Samira Killebrew is coming off 11.24, fastest American girl this year at the high school ranks. She did that at Berks PR. And then she's going up against Thelma Davies, who qualified for the relay team last year for U20s. She's out of Pennsylvania. She's got 11.42. So this matchup between these two girls, I mean, we're not going to have a Sha'Carri there. We won't have a TT Terry because she's aged out, but that's a pretty good matchup. So do you think on the girls' side we'll see something special from these two potentially?
Yeah, I think the sky's the limit. I think Thelma Davies obviously has run some quick times. Samir, I think that came out of nowhere, but that was a really impressive performance for her.
11.5 to 11.2, I think.
Yeah, I mean that's quite a drop. So I mean a big performance from her. It'll be interesting to see if she can repeat that kind of a success.
I mean, fast track. It's Florida. It's a Mondo surface track, so you're going to get a lot of great performances there. Do you think that's going to come in handy, Adair? Like the Florida weather, it's ideal for sprinters coming on this track and maybe performing.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Sunshine State, but we're headed to get some rain this weekend. So if that can kind of go away, then I think we'll see some fast times. But it's Miramar and it's South Florida. So once that once that clock turns 3 p.m., we're going to see some storms. So it'll be kind of a wash up to see if we'll have some fast times, but wind and rain can always come up. I wouldn't forget about JCS Sears though in that 100. She ran 11:41 this weekend. So right up there with Thelma Davies. So
that's pretty good sleeper. 400, let's talk about this real quick. We talked about Kayla Davis at New Balance. She will be in this field with Bailey Lear, Alexis Holmes of Penn State, Paris Peoples, Zaya Holman, Kennedy Simon of Texas, Thing Mo potentially is in this race too. That's about 8 girls that could go under 53 seconds easy. So when we look at that, do we have a potential favorite? Do you think the collegiate woman like Bailey Lear or Alexis Holmes kind of has the confidence and the experience to take this race? Or do you think somebody like Kayla Davis, just a freshman, might win it?
I mean, Kayla
Davis.
Kayla Davis, all right.
She ran phenomenally well. I think, Bailey Lear obviously is the talk of the town for the longest time, through high school. So she's also definitely somebody to keep an eye on. I wouldn't count her out by any means. And maybe if I was going to pick a sleeper pick, I'd say Kimberly Harris is definitely, which is weird to say she's a sleeper pick because she's run some very fast times throughout her career as well.
Yeah. We'll get to you in a little bit, but my pick is Alexis Holmes, Penn State. She came out of nowhere last year to end her season at New Balance, went under 52 seconds. She had a good year at Penn State. She's just a little shade slower than Kayla's 51:17, but she's a collegian. She comes in here, in my book, she's the favorite unless somebody beats her, and I think it's going to be pretty hard. Adair, do you agree, or do you think you already went with Kayla Davis? Why?
I saw her race at Golden South, and there's something different about how she races. I mean, she gets out hard and then maintains it, especially around that final curve. So, I mean, at the end of the day, she's a freshman, and it could be anybody's race, especially looking at all these women. I mean, they're so close together in time. So but sometimes, ignorance is bliss in terms of racing. And sometimes when you don't have all the hype in your head about what this means and you can kind of go for it, I think that Kayla has that advantage. So
that's very true. Very good point. 800 meters, we're going to get a rematch of New Balance Nationals indoor, Thing Mo versus Roisin Willis. This is a very good matchup as well. Roisin won indoors, but Thing kind of probably was going for that sub 2 and really fell off late. If this is more tactical, I think this is a completely different race, but they're both sort of fit at this level. Do we think Roisin has Thing's number again?
Man, these are such tough calls. No, I think a thing takes it this time. I think that, not to say that it was a fluke indoors. I think a girl like Thing had a lot of racing under her belt when the time came for New Balance Nationals indoor. I think at this point in the season, she's still fairly well rested. She ran a fast 400 last week just to get those legs under her, to get that speed. I think this weekend, Thing Mo is the girl who we're going to have to be looking out for. I think, and obviously Roisin ran an 800 last weekend. Not saying there's that huge a thing, and obviously there's a week-long recovery, but it takes a little more out of you than running that 400, obviously. And that 400-meter speed that Thing Mo brought to the table also says that she's fit and ready to go in my mind. So I think a Thing takes it this time.
Adair?
A Thing. I don't feel like I need to explain much of that. I think, Brian, you took that. So
I agree. I think Thing's the one to beat as well. Couple other athletes to watch. Marley Starlepper is going to be in the 3K if all goes well. She's only going to run the 3K. Also in the 1500 though. Taylor Ewert probably going for another American junior record in the 10K race walk. She raced to 45 minutes 57 seconds and 0.81 at U20s last year. Can she beat that time? In the 100-meter hurdles, we have Jasmine Jones, who we talked about, one of the best high school hurdlers, against Masai Russell, who got to NCAAs this year for Kentucky, ran for Bullis last year. Masai, interestingly enough, was kind of the favorite in the 400-meter hurdles last year at juniors and didn't qualify. So she's probably motivated there. Are you interested to see maybe her compete at this level? Maybe?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I think it'll just see how Jasmine Jones also steps up to compete it with a college age. someone's season like that. And in all these races, I think it's a good opportunity for some of these high schoolers to see what a college style race could be like, or athletes with that year of college experience under the belt.
Anna Hall in the heptathlon, I think this is going to be interesting to watch too. I don't know if you've ever seen Anna Hall, Adair, but she's kind of special because she's just so versatile. What are your thoughts on Anna Hall maybe in the hep and what she might be able to do?
I'm excited. I mean, I think it's very rare that especially in Florida, that we get to kind of see the events competed on. So I'm excited to see Anna Hall. I've heard so much about her, read so much about her. So I'm pumped to watch her compete.
Christina Warren and Jasmine Moore in the triple jump. Do you think Jasmine easy, or do you think Christina maybe offers a chance here? She's coming off a New Balance win.
Jasmine. Jasmine took the week off and didn't end up competing.
Yeah.
So I think Jasmine also has just been so dominant. I think that this is the way she's looking to end and cap off her career, is making this, last USA team before heading off to college. I think would be huge for her. So
one last race, the 400-meter hurdles. Britton Wilson is coming off a 56.7, I believe, at New Balance. Really amazing performance. As we mentioned, she's going to battle Masai for an automatic qualifier for Pan American Juniors. Top 2 get in relays. It's top 6. It's going to be amazing. We'll see if these kids can offer some really, really great times. Adair, thank you so much for being with us today. Really appreciate it.
Of course. See you soon.
I will see you this weekend. All right, Brian, MileSplit Live. Another one bites the dust.
All done? No Instagram throwdown for us?
No, we just had Jolie Instagram.
Okay.
IG throwdown.
Okay. Those we should start calling IG throwdown. He's like, nah, guys, IG throwdown. I like that.
Yeah.
Not hip enough, I guess. We're not hip enough.
Thank you for watching MileSplit Live. We will be back next Tuesday. Take care.